Hi folks, Paul Giano's here with Advanced Water Systems, one of the largest dealerships of the Kinetico products in the world. Kinetico is, in my opinion, the best. And today we're going to talk about changing the filters in your K5 drinking water station. The K5 is unique. It does not have any batteries. It doesn't have any electricity. It has a series of turbines and very accurate metering and gearing and counting devices to prompt you to change your filters after you have consumed 500 gallons. That's a lot of water. And it's hard to keep track of all that, but the unit does it for you. If you look on the K5 unit, which I'm assuming everybody's got one that's watching this video, there is a sight glass at one end. We call this the Puremometer. This unit here is pretty low on its filters. When it's brand new, right after a filter change, that blue pin will stick up about 2/3 of the way. It does not go all the way to the top, ever. If it does, there's actually a problem. It means something stuck it up in there. So that is your visual indicator of about how much filter life you've got left. When we're installing these, the dedicated drinking water faucet that everybody should have of some type will drop down from a very strong flow of about a gallon a minute down to a very slow trickle. So that's another indicator in case you don't keep track of your Puremometer. But for today, now that you kind of know when to change the filter, what are you going to need to change? So you saw real quick, grab the corner and your access cover panel will just pop right off. If you've got a unit that's underneath the kitchen sink, you're going to want to pop off both of these so that you have access from both sides. If it is wall mounted, leave it on the wall. It is so much easier to do this. Inside the main panel, you'll have your serial number information typically, but what's really important is the map. So the map will show you the tubes, which shows you that it's that end over there. And then our very first filter is our pre-filter. So the pre-filter is either a sediment yellow filter, which is used on non-chlorinated water supplies, or it's going to be a purple if you have a chlorinated water supply. So that one definitely is getting changed. Then you're going to see that you either have plugs like we have underneath here for our auxiliary ports, or you could have any one of these listed filters in one or both of those ports. If there's a filter, you're going to want to change it because all of the filters are rated for 500 gallons, including the auxiliaries. So you change them all at the same time. So if you have auxiliaries, you should have those ready to go. The final post filter is always an orange. It's called the taste and odor. Kind of what it sounds. It makes sure that this water tastes perfect every single time. It's the very last step before the water leaves and goes out to your refrigerator or your dedicated faucet. So that is a very important one. We're going to set this aside right now. We actually have our new filters for this unit ready to go. Set those kind of out of the way there. Do not get your filters from the internet. There are a lot of counterfeits out there. You cannot tell them apart. The only way to know that you have a genuine Kinetico filter is to actually get it from a Kinetico dealer. And internet, what we have found, is typically about 50% more expensive than just getting them from the dealer to begin with. So authentic filters, better quality, better price. Have your filters ready. They come sealed in the bags. If you do some reading online, there's some conversation about sanitization. We're not going to talk about a sanitization today because you don't have the tools needed to do that. The reality of the situation is that this is a sealed unit. If you don't break the seal, the sanitization is no longer a mandatory thing. And if you do have sanitization, you don't sanitize these filters anyway. So keep them sealed, wash your hands. It's the next thing that we're going to want to do. But we want to turn the water off to this unit. So on the left side, you'll see, well, on this one, the blue tubing This is the water that comes into the unit. You're going to want to turn that off. If you do not turn that off by following it back to a valve on your cold water somewhere, it's going to be a real bad day. So make sure that the valve is turned off. Next thing that we do, we need to trap the water in the holding tank, which is at the end of the green line. Turn that valve off. Now your water, it can't get in and it can't push back on you. We need to release the pressure. Super easy. You go to your faucet, it's a dedicated faucet, and just open it up till it does that, and then close it again. And now you'll see when I do a quarter of a turn, they just fall right out. At least that one does. So, new filter. I've washed my hands at this point. New filter, I go ahead and do not compromise the cleanliness. Save one of the bags for later. This wing right here is going to fit up inside a little receiver and do a quarter of a turn. So be ready for that. So you're going to want to put that up in there. Align the wing. Come on, there we go. And as you're pushing up, sometimes you have to push up and rotate just a wee bit. Quarter of a turn, it is done. It stops when it's done. It's not a Hercules type situation. That's the yellow one. Easy. Orange. Sometimes your orange, you got to tug on it a little bit. Another big differentiator with the Kinetico is they actually have multiple O-rings. This is for your protection because nobody likes water leaks underneath the sink, and if one does happen to fail, you've got a backup. Great system. The blue pin that you saw earlier has to line up, before I discard this, has to line up perfectly with the dead center of the new filter. So in this one, you might be able to see there's really nothing in there until you look down deep, but it's kind of like a little funny screw. And the blue pin is like a funny screwdriver that has to line up dead center of the new filter. So you'll see in a second what I'm talking about. The new filter if you look in there, you'll see that there is a set screw that is all the way at the top. That's the only tricky part, is you got to line that thing up dead perfect. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that you're paying attention to the alignment of the ears and the gap that's up underneath there. And use this cutout down there to help align this. So, gets a little tricky doing it. See if I can shine a little light on the situation to make it easier for you. There we are. So I line that up, and while I'm pressing up, I just got to make sure that I'm getting those ears where they need to be. And you can push down against the hood on top. And a quarter of a turn, and you are finished. And now you'll see if you come back around what a fully raised Puremometer pin should look like. That's as high as it goes. All right, in, tight, tight. Everything looks good. We're going to turn the tank back on, go in reverse order. Then we're going to go ahead and make sure I'm following the right supply line here. We're going to turn this water back on. You might hear a little bit of noise. That's normal. There is air in the new filters. Take one of the bags that you just used and go back over to your dedicated faucet. Put it over the end of that, otherwise it's going to be interesting. Because because one of the first things that happens is it blows out a lot of the air that's in that orange filter, and then you can see the flush out, the normal flush out from the orange filter. Pretty much once the air comes out of there, you can discard the bag. But you're going to want to leave that dedicated faucet just running. Toss that. This will run at full force, just like this, for roughly 3 minutes. And it'll run like that because it comes out a little bit stronger than a gallon a minute. And the holding tank, which is hydraulically driven, holds 3 gallons of water. So at the end of that, this should drop down to a trickle. Basically, once the holding tank is empty, we're going to drop down to what we call production, which is how fast the K5 is actually making water to refill the holding tank. And if it does not drop down like this, and I already drained this tank ahead of time to kind of speed this up, but you can see the big difference in trickle now versus full flow before. That's what we're looking for. As soon as you get that, close the faucet. The K5 needs an hour and a half to refill this holding tank. Come back in an hour and a half, open your dedicated little faucet, let it run for 3 minutes plus until it drops to a trickle, close it, wait another hour and a half, open it back up, flush it, close it, and you're done. That's pretty much it. That's the required flush out process. Call your dealer if you have any questions after that, but this is it.